Brr, it's cold, you guys, but it's good to see you here on Grassroots Gardening. As always, check out my new hat that Santa brought me. Actually, a very special someone gave me this hat. So now it's official, I'm a plant nerd. And so for all you other plant nerds out there, today we are going to be planting and pruning some blueberries. We're out here right beside the house. Got a little area here. Now, I will say, I've got a septic tank right there, so that's where I built my little makeshift nursery for some Japanese maples. I've got this one blueberry here that I planted probably 2 years ago. And of course, I didn't put a tag on it, so I don't know what variety it is. But I do know the varieties that we're gonna be planting today, and we are gonna make sure that we tag them. So I've got a Brightwell blueberry, and then I've got a Tiff blue blueberry. And the reason that we're planting two is because blueberries do better when they have another variety to cross-pollinate with. And if you take nothing away from this video other than what I'm about to tell you, I think it's probably the most important factor when planting or choosing blueberries. So blueberries, they grow all the way up in Maine down to Florida. And so they go by chill hours. And so the chill hours are hours that are at or below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And so what that means is each cultivar has to have that amount of chill hours in order to produce fruit. I'll put a map up on the screen right now. I believe our area here in Zone 8B in Aiken County, South Carolina, is from like 400 to 650 chill hours. That's how many hours we get at or below 45 degrees, and that dictates what varieties I can plant and be successful at growing. So after a little bit of research, and I like to use the HGIC, it's Home Garden Information Center that Clemson puts on. I like to use it because it's local and it gives really, really good information. But after researching that, I found that the Brightwell and the Tiff Blue are compatible and they flower at the same time. And that's another really important item. So then after you learn how many chill hours you have in your area, then we need to go on to the next step. And that's when we want to harvest our blueberries. You've got some early flowering varieties, you got some mid-season, and you got some late-season flowering varieties. And that again is why I've chosen these two varieties, because they first of all get enough chill hours for our area, and let me see how many fingers I'm holding up. And then second of all, because they flower at the same time, because what's going to happen, bees are going to come, this flower needs to be open, that bee is going to come get on this flower, and then he's going to go over here, hopefully, to this plant, and these flowers are going to be open so that he can transfer the pollen, which will increase our yield. I don't have a level place in this whole damn yard to set my tripod up. Let's see. All right, don't fall over right there, buddy. Well, it is dadgum cold, you guys, so I'm going to get on the shovel and warm up a little bit. But I hope I'm not giving you too much information too quick, because it can seem a bit daunting at first when you're trying to find blueberries, because there's so much information and there's a lot of different variables. But I can tell you this, if you have a local nursery, i.e. Grassroots, but if you have a local nursery, hopefully they have a knowledgeable staff that can, first of all, they should have the blueberries for your area, and then they'll have a knowledgeable staff that can help you match up compatible cultivars of blueberries for the time that you want to harvest. And we're going to plant these about 4 foot apart from one another so that we, can almost guarantee that when the bees do come, they're gonna cross-pollinate. If you plant them super far away, the further you get, obviously the less chance that the bees are gonna visit both plants. You don't want them super close to where they're growing into one another, but I think here we got about, like I said, 4 to 5 feet apart should be just fine. Get this guy out of my way. That wind is really kicking out here, blowing in some cold. It's about 40-something degrees today, I think. Pretty chilly. And speaking of that, I would have much preferred to plant these in the fall. Get off me. Plant these in the fall, but winter would be the second best option, because here in Zone 8B, we don't get all that cold, and the roots are still going to be doing their thing under the ground, getting themselves established. Spring, they should really take off, and then late spring, early summer, hopefully we'll have us some blueberries. We've got some nice topsoil that we brought in when we planted this grass. So we've got some nice native soil. It's gonna drain well. We're gonna add some compost as well, just to really encourage that drainage. And another important thing with blueberries is they really like or prefer an acid soil. So we already have pretty acidic soil in our area, but if you don't, and if you don't know, you probably want to do a soil test to find out the pH of your soil. And if need be, you can add a soil acidifier to, add some acid to the soil. The blueberries will certainly thank you. And then also pine straw works as a good mulch because, well, pines grow in acidic soil around here. And that pine straw will break down and increase the acidity of your soil naturally. There we go, we got a nice big hole. We're gonna fill in with some compost and add our native soil back. We're gonna add our biotone. He should be really happy right there. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and step over about 4-ish feet and get our other hole dug. I just use my shovel, kind of go around, mark out the hole that I want, cut through that grass. Try not to fall in the other hole. Then once I get my hole carved out, I'll just start using my shovel as a pry bar and prying up that grass. And sometimes if we cut it good enough, we can just lay it over just like a manhole cover. And then we find that, of course, we've got an irrigation line running right through the center of our hole. Well, every single time, if I wanted to find that line, I'd never be able to find it, but I picked one spot in the yard and it's literally right through the middle. All right, no big deal. I actually think this is an inactive irrigation line, but I can't check it right now because I've got my entire irrigation shut down for the winter. So I'll tell you what, let's do. I'm gonna prune on this hibiscus just a bit. It's dormant and all this stuff's dead anyway. So we're gonna get rid of some stuff so we can, I think what we'll do is just scooch over a little bit and just carve out a little section over here. That way, just in case I am incorrect and that is active, it can still function and we won't have hurt anything. And all hell, while we're at it, let's just go ahead and prune this whole thing back down to the ground. It needs it anyway. Let's go ahead and get it done. And just in case you're wondering, I'm using my Felcos as always. These have lasted me over 20 years. Best pair of pruners I've ever had. So I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check them out. All right, that looks way more better than it needed to happen. Anyway, so now we're just gonna scoot over a little bit with our hole and we'll be good to go. A lot of stuff always happen like that. Like I said, if I'd wanted to find that daggum hose, never would have found it, but it was right smack dab in the middle of where I wanted her. Okay, I'm not so cold anymore after digging those holes. Let me grab my, this is, we've used this in a lot of videos, and I just use it a lot in planting in general. This is the Espoma Organic Land and Sea Compost. It's very nutrient rich, and it also drains real well, and I've just had great success with it. So we're gonna use half a bag per hole, so half a bag per plant. What I'm gonna do first is just put a couple inches in the bottom. Then we're gonna grab our biotone. So if you've watched any of my videos, you know if I'm planting something for the first time, doing a new planting, I'm gonna add our Spoma biotone. This has got all of our beneficial bacteria, fungi, just really helps to build the microbe environment in the soil, gets the plant off to a great start. We're just gonna take and mix our biotone, our land and sea together a little bit, just like so. Now, even though the biotone does contain some fertilizer, I'm just putting a little bit just to get the plant started out right. We don't want to fertilize right now because we don't want to encourage a ton of growth because it's still winter. What we do want to do is come back in late winter, early spring, and then we're probably going to go with like a berry tone. I love this Spoma line of products because they are really specially formulated per species and per plant, and so the berry tone will help to, you know, give us that nice first flush of spring growth, and then also, as the name implies, give us berries. So let's check our depth, make sure we're not too deep, and we're a little bit too deep. So let's go ahead and add some more land and sea, because the last thing we want to do is plant this thing too deep. They do not like wet feet. So if anything, we want to elevate the plant just a little bit above the native soil line and build up to it, and then cover that with some sort of mulch. A little bit more biotone since I had to add more soil, and that should be about right. Yes, perfect. We're about an inch above the natural soil line. And then we just got to kind of look at the plant and look at the shape of it and figure out which way we want to face it. And I think since east is that way, this lower growing side I'm going to put towards the sun, try to encourage this thing to flush out and kind of even out. So something about like that right there. Now we're going to backfill with our native topsoil, and with an addition of compost. I kind of like just to do it like layers, like a cake, and just take my hand and mix it together around the root ball. That's why I put the soil all around the plant 360 degrees, so we can easily just drag it back in the hole. Add some more compost. Add some more native soil. And we've had a lot of rain this week, so this soil is plenty moist. Normally, if I were planting in fall, or really at any time, if it were dry, I'd go ahead and soak this whole area down really well. But as wet as the soil, and I forgot to put on my gloves, as wet as the soil is, we don't need to do anything. Plus, we got more rain coming this weekend. We'll go ahead and put just a little layer of compost right around the top. Then later on, I'll go get some mulch, and we'll mulch it just to help to keep that moisture in the soil and keep the weeds down. But for right now, I'm just going to put a thin layer of compost on the top, and as that stuff breaks down, it's going to carry those nutrients down into the soil. This blueberry should be happy. And so I don't mess up like I normally do, I'm going to go ahead and put the tag that came with the plant right around this big stalk so that we don't lose it until we go around and use one of our actual plant tags, the metal ones, the copper, so we'll always know what variety we've planted, and then we can watch it, see if we like it, and just kind of experiment as the season goes, and it might be one we want to add more of. All right, that one was our Brightwell variety. This is our Tiff Blue. I'm gonna give it a couple taps on the pot, and she'll slide right out. We'll go ahead and add our base layer of compost. Get that smoothed out. Add a couple handfuls of our biotone. Let's check him out. This guy's got a lot more top growth than that Brightwell did. And we're gonna do some pruning here in just a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of look at the natural growth. And I think we'll do a similar thing as we did with the Brightwell and put the smaller, you know what though, we don't have a whole lot of growth on this side. Let's spin him around towards east and see if we can encourage a little more growth on that side of the plant. All right, I'm pretty happy with the positioning of him right there. He's about the same distance from the wall as that other dude. He's got a little leaning root ball to him, so I'm gonna grab some native soil and get him kind of straightened up and positioned like I want him. And something like that right there should work out good. So we'll go ahead, break up our native soil. If you got any big clods, go ahead and break that up. Make it nice and airy so those roots can go ahead, find that biotone plant starter, and then work their way on out into the soil. Now we're gonna add a little bit of compost and do it just like we did the other one. Blueberry bushes all up in my face. Let's go ahead and add the rest of this bag. We'll just take this, spread it all around down in the hole, mix it up with the native a little bit, and he's gonna be good to go. And this big old wad of grass from that manhole cover that we dug up, but now it's got all of my topsoil stuck to it, so I gotta break it up to get enough dirt to fill back in the hole. Give me my dirt back, grass. Just gotta kind of shake it, manhandle it a little bit, and then that's pretty much just grass right there. We don't want that. Now we got our dirt back, we can finish filling in our hole, and I should have saved a little compost. Dadgummit, it's too late now. I should have saved a little compost to do like that last one and put us a nice little layer around the top, but oh well. We're gonna bring in some actual mulch later on, and we have enough soil. And we just wanna kind of compress it. We don't wanna like super pack it because we want it to stay nice and airy so that those roots can easily find their way out into it. If you pack it down too much, it gets like concrete, and then the roots struggle. I have to work harder to go through the soil. Okay, let's put our tag on just like we did our other guy until we get our metal tags around here. And right now, I'm gonna go wash my hands because, per usual, my nose itches. All right, now that we've got them planted in the ground, boy, that wind is whipping today. Now we're gonna go ahead and prune them up a little bit. I use my general pruning rule of taking off about 30% of the plant. Now blueberries, they bloom on old wood, but we're gonna get rid of some of the old wood, any of the dead or dying or diseased limbs. But we're gonna get rid of about 30% of this plant, and I'm gonna show you how to do it right now. First of all, I'm gonna come in here with my Felcos down at the very base, and we're gonna get rid of some of these little spindly new growth. And you can tell the new growth because it's nice and smooth, usually green or red color. And then the older bark you see here has got kind of some, you know, it's a lot darker brown. It's got some peeling bark on it. So that's the old growth. Then this is the new growth. So you can see the comparison. Nice, shiny and smooth and green, rough, brown, got some bark peeling off of it for the older wood. And then any competing branches like this guy right here, we're gonna remove him out of the center. What I wanna do is try to create a nice bowl shape and also just reduce the clutter so that the air can flow through. That'll help with disease and just give us a much prettier, healthier plant. But all this little stuff down here at the bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it. And then also all of these main ones that we allow to continue growing are considered canes. That's what we call them. Anytime you're referring to berry plants and you have these stems coming up, the ones that you want to save, the nice leaders, are called canes. Let's get rid of this little dude right here. And this little spindly guy. This guy, we're going to let him keep going. This is new growth, and he's going to keep reaching outwards towards east and try to fill in kind of this side over here on the plant that doesn't have a whole lot of growth. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this guy because he's kind of going back up into the center and competing with other branches. And then this kind of spindly dude who's coming way out here, I'm going to come about right here and cut him off. That way we can encourage some growth to go upright versus down towards the ground. And same with this dude over here. It's really hard to cut as a gardener, to cut some of these off because you see these buds swelling, but the plant will thank us for this, because another thing too, these plants are really like, you know, tomatoes, like I've described in the past. They're like mothers, and the more berries that it has on it, the smaller the berries are going to be, because she can only feed so many. So by pruning it, we're going to reduce the amount of berries but increase the size of the berries, and giving us a bigger yield. And this dude's kind of going in towards the plant. We're going to go ahead and get rid of him. We've got this conglomeration going on right here. This guy's trying to cross over. Let's get rid of him. This one also. I think I'll get rid of some of these little spindly dudes right there. Come back a little further with him. He's going to the interior of the plant. Get rid of him. Same with this guy. I'm liking how he's looking so far. We've cleaned him up a good bit. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one right here. Kind of open up the middle of the plant like we talked about a while ago. Then we got these big, long, spindly ones right here. I'm gonna come reduce them by about halfway to encourage more branching down below. And I'm kind of liking that right there, guys. I think he's gonna be good to go. Actually, you know what? I see something before we go. You see how these are crossing, this guy and this guy? So what I'm gonna do is come down, cut him off right there. Now he should branch and go kind of in his own direction. We don't want any limbs that are crossing like that, just because they'll rub together. It's just not good. So any competing branches we want to get rid of. Other than that, I'm kind of liking that dude now. I think he's gonna be a winner. Let's go see what we got going on with the Brightwell. Now he's a much smaller plant, but a lot of branching going on down here at the bottom. So I'm gonna remove that. Also this little bitty spindly dude right there, that guy. This limb's going toward the interior of the plant, so we're gonna get rid of him. Here's another interior direction guy. Let's see, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, open the plant up a little bit, take that off. Same with here and here. We got this little branch growing towards there. Same scenario there. Let's get rid of that. And then I'm just gonna clip the tips off of these guys right here to kind of promote some horizontal branching off of that. Then we got this one tall super cane coming out of the middle. Let's go ahead and chop him about right here. Again, to give us a more bushier plant up top. Let's see, I don't like this little spindly guy on the very bottom there. And this dude, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of him as well. He's just kind of coming up out of the middle of nowhere. Kind of spindly. We got this dead section right here on this limb. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it. And then you see here we got some crossing of this old wood versus this new wood. And so even though we would get berries off of this old wood, I just don't like how he's growing there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of him, sacrifice him, and let this guy take over for this side of the bush. Another little dead guy right down there. And I think that looks pretty good. What do you guys think about that? That should, oh, we got one more right here growing towards the interior. Now he's good to go. Well, y'all, I think we did a pretty good job, man. We got our Tiff Blue there, our Brightwell there, and with some luck, we're gonna be eating some big old fat blueberries here later spring. So kind of just a recap, if you're gonna do blueberries, first, get on the internet, do a little bit of research, find your chill hours, and then decide on a variety, whether it be early, mid, or late season, and you should be good to go. It's super easy, but it can be a little confusing because there is a ton of information on growing blueberries, and you're gonna get just a tremendous amount of information. So if you wanna make it super easy, go to a knowledgeable garden center, and they should be able to, first they should have the varieties for your area, and then they should be able to help you. Now you know how to plant them, you know how to prune them, so what are you waiting for? Get your gloves on, get out there and plant you some blueberries. And y'all, I sure appreciate you hanging out with me. As always, we almost got 10,000 subscribers on our little channel here, and that means the absolute world to me. All your comments, support, I can't thank you enough. So hopefully we'll get to 10,000 soon, but you can help if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit that subscribe button down there. Hit the little thumbs up. And other than that, the more you know, the more you grow. Y'all stay warm. We'll see you on the next video.